rested on the oceans and upon our seas, fish full of mercury. Oh, oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be. Lord, radiation underground and in the sky. Animals and birds who live nearby are alive. Oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be. What about this overcrowded land? How much more we use from men? Can't you stand?
Good afternoon. My name is Tim Boovey, and I'm today's service associate. Bob Coaches will be presenting our message. We're going to begin the service today by lighting our chalice and then join in a welcoming ceremony for all those who have chosen to join our fellowship. Our chalice lighting words today are by David Breeden and were written for a multi-faith gathering. We light this chalice, remembering and honoring our own tradition and celebrating the rich diversity of traditions among us. As we search for justice, meaning, and purpose, may we remember that justice, meaning, and purpose live first in deeply listening to one another. Now, having lit our chalice, let us sing these words together.
We kindle this night in celebration for the life that we share.
And now I want to invite Paula Odom to come to the mic for our welcoming ceremony.
Thanks, Tim. Well, we get to introduce new members to the congregation today. So those who have chosen to join and came to the orientation last week, can you come up to the front? And Ted and Priscilla, we'd like to recognize you guys this time too. They signed the book in February, and we haven't had a ceremony since then. So Tim, Mark, Henry, Ted, Priscilla, June, straight up here. And we'd like you just to introduce yourself and let us know how long you've been here, and just a couple of seconds.
Hi, I'm June Eguchi, and I've been living lakeside for about 8 years, and I was from Seattle, Washington originally, and I've been a member coming to this church for a little over 6 months.
My name's Tim, and we've been in Ahihic about 6.5 years, and I've been part of this fellowship, I think, for about 2 years now.
Yes. My name is Henry, and we've been here nearly 6 years. We're originally from Rhode Island, and as I always like to say, that's where our hearts and minds still are. But we're here now. Thank you.
Hi, Priscilla Taylor. I sense a trend. We've been here about 6 years. Initially winter people, and as of fall of 2023, we're here full time.
And we sold our house in May, so now we're really here. I'm Ted Fay, and as Priscilla said, we bought a house here. We came down at Eric and Kathy's invitation in 2017, and they were the people who basically said, retire. And we're here.
And we have one in the back. Oh, he's got,
Hi
thank
there.
you.
I'm Mark Brown. I've been coming down here for a long time. My parents and grandparents retired down here, and now I'm following in their tracks. I'm here for about half of the year, and I'm so happy to meet all of you.
And I'd like to invite Matt and Chris up.
Good morning. I'm Chris Gang, president of the congregation, and Matt and I are here to officially welcome all these wonderful new people. So we have a question for you all. It is a joy to welcome each of you into our community of memory and hope. Will you walk together with us, sharing the joys and responsibilities of membership?
Yes.
To you, the congregation. Members of Lake Chapala Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, will you welcome these people into our congregation? Will you reach out to them in friendship, including them in our activities and fellowship? We will be open to their unique gifts, perspectives. Will you extend a warm welcome to each of them, remembering that each of us was once a new member? Yes. Isn't there words?
There were words, but we may just accept yes.
What you said was, we join our strengths, talents, and commitment with yours. You are part of us.
And we are part of you. So becoming a member of this congregation is an important step, but it is only a first step. I charge you, new members, to grow in your faith. More importantly, I charge you to find and share your special gifts with us. Ours is a shared ministry. Each of us has a crucial role to play. We need you. We need your energy. We need your ideas. Give generously of yourselves, and your rewards will be great.
After the service, we'll invite you to sign our membership book for those of you who haven't signed it yet. And now we'll ask that each of you accept a gift of a rose, symbolizing our hope that you will fully bloom in your new fellowship home. Welcome to Lake Chapala Unitarian Universalist Fellowship.
No thorns.
You should keep that. Thank you all.
Mark's going to need the microphone now.
Our opening words this afternoon, witnesses of the world, testigos del mundo, are by Reverend Tanya Marquez, an ordained UU minister, spiritual director, and hospital chaplain. Her ministry is influenced by her immigrant and fronteriza experiences. Tanya strongly believes in the healing power of words, movement, community, and ritual. Listen now to these words from Tanya that will be presented in both English and Spanish. It is now, when we are called as witnesses of the world, to mend it, to change its course, to restore it. It is now when we are called to act on our own values, not to hide, not to fear, but to be bold and loud. It is now that we are called to continue our fight for justice, to organize, to speak up. It is now. Let us gather, let us give each other courage, let us worship.
Estamos llamados a ser testigos del mundo, a enmendarlo, a cambiar su curso, a restaurarlo. Es ahora que somos llamados a vivir nuestros valores, a no escondernos, a no temer, sino a ser audaces y a hacer ruido. Es ahora que somos llamados a continuar nuestra lucha por la justicia, a organizarnos, a levantar las voces. Es ahora, reunámonos, démonos valor unos a otros, celebremos juntos.
And with these words of challenge informing our time together, let me welcome you to LCUUF Sunday service. So welcome indeed to all of you. May you discover the truths that resonate with your spirit right here, right now. And a special welcome to those of you from St. Andrew and the Lake Chapala Jewish congregation. We are so glad you have joined us today. For all of our visitors, we invite you to say your name and tell us where you're from. If you're on Zoom, please introduce yourself in the chat box, and it will be read aloud in the fellowship. We'll start with people here in the room. So if you're a visitor, would you stick your hand up, and Barley will get the mic to you.
Hi. Hello. Good morning, or afternoon. I'm David Stegan, and we are visiting Aunt Jane and Uncle Al Castleman, and we're from Reno, Nevada.
And I'm PJ Stegan, originally Castleman, and are visiting and are enjoying our time being with them and in your beautiful community of Ahihi.
Welcome.
Hello, some of you may recognize me. I am Lorna Davalos, the daughter of Mary Helen Montgomery. I come every 3 months for a visit, and this is my fall visit. I'm very glad to be here with everyone.
Welcome. We got one over there.
Hello, my name is Doug, and I've lived at Lakeside for many years. And just coming here, I'm seeing so many people I know. So something called me to come today. So I'm glad I'm here.
Welcome, Doug.
Hello, I'm Dee. I'm from Ahahik, lived here for 4 years, almost 5, and thank you for welcoming me.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Stu, and this is my wife Alex, and we've been living in Ahihik for about 15 years, a long time. And also I'm here to help out with the technical stuff here and try to make it as good as it can be.
Well, you're really welcome then. Is that everybody? Do we have any visitors on Zoom this afternoon?
No, we do not today.
Thanks, Kate. Well, welcome to all our visitors and newcomers, both in person and wherever else they may be. Here at LCUUF, we offer a wide variety of services on various topics presented by our members, outside guests, as well as our minister, Reverend Matt Alspaul. We hope that you will return to sample this variety of thought and belief. In this circle of caring people, we make space for the complexity of life, the myriad experiences that both bless and break our hearts. The truth of human experience dictates that on any given day, we each come to the table in different places. And so we speak briefly what is in our hearts, sharing any significant joys or sorrows in our lives, because there is power when we share together. So we're going to again start with people in the room to give those on Zoom a chance to type joys or sorrows into the chat to be read out loud by Kate. And so first, let us voice our sorrows here. Whatever you or the world may be holding that's in need of our healing and carried thoughts. Are there any sorrows that people would like to share here in the room?
Hi, I'm Flo Rhodes, and I've been kind of glued to the TV and YouTube and all that for those folks who are suffering with the remnants and the situation in the hurricane in Florida and Georgia and North Carolina. And just, God, thank you for putting me here, and God bless them in their recovery. I can't even imagine how you recover from that, but I guess you do.
Well, this is one of those things that's just hard to decide whether it's joy or sorrow. Some of you may be wondering about Liz, who is in Western North Carolina right now. And she's doing all right. Dog's all right. House is all right. She just doesn't have any power right now. And just staying connected with friends and seeing that everybody else is okay there. So they seem to have done well enough in what looks like one of those, once in a century storm that comes once in a decade these days.
And I have a lot of sorrow for the extended war that's going on in the Middle East. And I do hope that Zelensky gets what he wants from the United States, from Vice President Harris, as opposed to the other man.
Hi, I have a cousin, Nancy, who was born in 1932, and her birthday was Friday, so she just turned 92. And she's in end-stage renal failure, has elected not to undergo dialysis. She's a person of incredible Catholic faith and has very carefully prepared for her transition, and I would simply like you to keep her in your hearts.
Hi, I'm Priscilla. We have a son and daughter-in-law out in Boston, and Christy is such a delightful daughter-in-law and mom to her two boys. She has a younger sister who, when she was 12, had a brain tumor, which she was able to conquer. But now that same sister is in her mid-30s, and it has returned. So her two children still need a mom, so we're hoping for the best outcome.
It seems that the hurricane that hit Cancun hasn't gotten much press, and I think we should remember those people in Cancun. It hit them hard. Houses, streets underwater, people dead, it's people missing. you know, the usual stuff with a bad storm. So I think we need to remember them as well.
Are there any sorrows that were shared on Zoom, Kate?
No sorrows this morning.
Okay. Now let us share our joys. Whatever you may be celebrating, whatever evokes a feeling of joy or peace for yourself or others, are there any joys that people would like to share here in the room?
I'm Jane, and you often speak about the families that you go to visit or who come here to visit you. We have not had that joy for a number of years until these wonderful people gave us such a gift of reconnection, and I really get the sense of reconnection at a whole new level. Such a joy.
Speaking of families, many of you know that my mom is here. She's 101, and when I left in May, she and her friend could play dominoes and follow the rules. I went yesterday, they forgot the rules. I've never had such fun as playing dominoes with two people with dementia. It was basically cutthroat solitaire dominoes. Highly recommend it.
Thanks, Jim. Well, I have a joy to express. I moved from La Floresta to Chapala so that I could perfect my Spanish. And in doing so, some unexpected benefits occurred. My new place has air conditioning that works and hot water. Oh, I can't tell you how much that's appreciated.
Well, we're happy for you, Sean. Anybody else with joys? Here we go. They're all over the place.
I've been trying to reconnect with my family for a really long time, what's left of my family, and finally my brother got back to me and he said, I'm a very private person, but we'll work out something. So that was the start.
Good.
And I've got the joy that this guy to my right keeps waking up every day, so now it is his birthday again. And even though he wanted to be 76 for another year, he's really 77.
He's looking good. I have a joy as well. I think a lot of you will share it. On Tuesday, I think it's October 1st, yeah? It's a holiday. You know why it's a holiday, right? First woman being elected to the presidency of Mexico. What an astounding thing, huh? So take much joy in that. And Kate, any joys shared on Zoom?
We do have a couple from Trudy. Can you move that one up for me? Let me start with Colleen first. I finished up with chemo this month and am on to radiation tomorrow. Looking forward to being finished with that phase of treatment before Halloween. I am so grateful for all the support I have been receiving from family and friends. From Trudy, joy that our members in Florida and our 3 in North Carolina are safe, as are our members on the Pacific coast of Mexico. 2 hurricanes are too much. And from Sharon Thompson Wilson, I am joyful our fellowship is starting chalice circles this week. There are many signed up and a wait list to get on. We have one here in house.
This is Adele, and my joy is that I had the wonderful opportunity of having a sibling reunion with my brothers in Massachusetts, and my niece of 43 who had her first baby in May.
And that's all the joy coming in from outside.
This candle here that Barley's lighting is from our care team, and it represents all the joys and sorrows that we hold in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. So we light this candle for all those unspoken sorrows and joys. And let's share a moment of silence to hold in our hearts both the sorrows and the joys that have been shared this afternoon. As caring people of conscience, we know that there are many ways to be of service. We can use our time, our talents, and our treasure to make a difference in this hurting world. We're going to be passing baskets for those who would like to make a contribution. But if you're new here today or struggling to hold things together, just let the basket pass you by. Your presence with us is a gift, and we're delighted you're here. Each week we give all of the money collected at the service, other than pledges, to an organization providing services to our lakeside community. For this month of September, we are supporting Food Bank Lakeside. Food Bank Lakeside works to relieve the chronic food poverty of our most disadvantaged neighbors in numerous villages along the lake. And we do that by collaborating with donors, volunteers, businesses, and community organizations to ease suffering and offer the hope of a brighter future throughout the lakeside community. The offering is still being collected, and I know it's given with generosity and joy. Our opening hymn today is number 352, if you happen to have a hymnal. Otherwise, it's going to be up here. Find a stillness. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing. Anticipating Bob's message, we will now watch a short video about starfish, most certainly applicable to the ecological crisis the world faces.
This is about a father and his son walking on the beach after a storm.
Look, Papa. They'll die if they stay here.
There are too many, son. We can't save them all.
But I can save this one.
He throws it back into the ocean, a small splash against the vast sea. They walk on, and the boy keeps picking up starfish, throwing them back one by one. His father watches, saying nothing. Finally, the boy stops, exhausted.
Papa, is it even worth it? There are still so many.
Look, my little fisherman, you can't change the whole ocean. But for every starfish you throw back, you change its whole world.
The boy looks at the starfish clinging to his hand, its wet body cool against his palm.
One starfish at a time, Papa. One starfish at a time.
And so they continue, father and son, throwing starfish back into the ocean, one by one, making a difference in their own small way. Great acts are made up of small deeds.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. Today, we're going to explore climate justice and specifically how it relates to our UU values and our lives here as immigrants in Mexico. This will lead up to our climate justice revival on October 13th. But before we do, I want to ask you a question. How many of you have heard of this term, climate justice, before we put it in the newsletter? Well, it's more than I expected, really. Raise your hand, or if you're on Zoom, raise your hand feature. Before this all happened, I was not aware of it. I had heard of climate change, and of course, social justice. The concept of environmental justice has been around a long time. And to get a better understanding of this, here is a short video explaining the concept.
Okay, so this is a city. Here are all the people living in it, people of all different colors, ages, wealths, and incomes. Except they don't all live together in the same place. They're separated into different parts of the city by what color they are, what language they speak, and how much money they have. And those different parts of the city look quite different. The parts that are whiter and wealthier tend to have green spaces, grocery stores with nutritious organic food, and of course the money to buy it, and are often far away from pollution-emitting freeways. The parts that are poorer and more diverse tend to have industrial sites, heavy-duty diesel-polluted ports and highways, and hazardous waste, all things that the city relies on to run properly, but that heavily pollute the air and water. And even if they had those grocery stores with nutritious organic food, most residents there couldn't afford it anyway. How did this happen? Well, this segregation can be traced back to race-based zoning and housing policies, but it wasn't always as deliberate as plain old racism. Some separations can simply be traced to poor land use planning. And as a result, these residents of the same city live very different lives. Say the city realizes it has an emissions problem. It comes up with a plan to reduce air pollution, plant more trees to suck up the carbon, or start a cap-and-trade program. But those trees get planted in the neighborhoods that are already green, and the factories that are spewing toxins into the air just buy more carbon offsets and keep spewing their toxins. The benefits of these programs are enjoyed by the communities that are already doing just fine, and the communities that were hurting most from all that air pollution, well, they're still hurting. this isn't just an imaginary city, this is the story of real cities all across the US where people might live in the very same area code, but their race, ethnicity, or wealth and income bracket causes them to experience wildly different quality of air, water, and life. In fact, it can even mean that they also experience different deaths. That's how serious this stuff is. This kind of inequity expands far beyond cities, too. Rural areas are full of commercially valuable resources like oil and coal, and they're also home to indigenous and low-income communities. But when those resources are extracted, those communities don't see any of the money, and they end up with all the air and water contamination that's left over from the extraction. And we even see this injustice on a global level, like in small island nations that are forced to directly confront the consequences of rising sea levels, but haven't played any significant role in the industries that are causing climate change. These peoples are sometimes forced to flee their homes because their land is literally going underwater. But the very states that did play a hand in creating climate change don't have migration policies to accommodate them. So when we talk about environmental justice, we're talking about how we can try to break down and reimagine a system that's built up on these inequities. A system where those who are already disadvantaged because of their race and economic status are made poorer because they're unable to profit from the resources that the world depends on, and are made sick or worse by the environmental contamination that comes with extracting those resources. Social inequities are intimately tied to the environment. That's why social justice is an environmental issue too.
As Unitarian Universalists, we live with an awareness of our climate crisis and the deep environmental injustices of our time. We are grounded in the UU's seventh principle, respect for their interdependent web and of all existence of which we are all a part. However, the problem is complex and overlapping. The technical term is intersectionality. The term intersectionality was coined in 1989 by Kimberly Williams Crenshaw, an American civil rights advocate and a leading scholar of critical race theory. Intersectionality describes the interconnected and overlapping systems of discrimination and oppression across social categorizations such as race, class, and gender. Climate's disproportionate impact on the underrepresented is a key factor in the discussion of intersectionality. Intersectionality is a critical framework used to understand people's unique experiences, risks, and resiliences, and how they are shaped by multiple systems of power, says Dr. Skylar Jackson, Associate Research Scientist at the Yale School of Medicine. Quote, "We all sit at the intersection of multiple identities and multiple systems of power, and that fact has real implications for our everyday experiences and well-being." Systems of power and oppression such as white supremacy, patriarchy, capitalism, and heterosexism do not occur in isolation. Jackson explains, these systems interlock and collide and cooperate to create something greater than the sum of all parts. Boy, that slide is really overwhelming and confusing. So let's break it down in simple terms. A lot of it can be referenced with our values slide, where love is in the center. So, to break this down, climate justice is looking at climate change through the lens of social justice. And we as UUs, we look through it through the lens of love. The question then becomes, how does this relate to us living here in Mexico? I know we all love and admire the kindness of the people. I know we all love the climate, except for May. We can do without that. And those of us who have immersed ourselves in the culture revel in the happiness and joy we see around us. So the question is, what responsibility do we have as immigrants in our new home? We all know there are inequities and equalities all around us. And it is also hard, at least for me, to ignore all the changes that have occurred in the last 18 years I've lived here. So, speaking for myself and myself alone, I want to take you on my journey and try to describe some of the inequities and privilege that a privileged immigrant like me that I feel. So, the first thing that I notice is that no matter how financially secure I am, and I'm one of those people, I'll admit, that live month to month, I'm infinitely better off than most of the Mexican population here. For me to recognize this is to recognize the inherent inequity of my privileged state. I also recognize that our Mexican neighbors are basically a happy people who make do with what they have and rejoice in their families and in living in their community. What have I noticed in the last 18 years that maybe I'm partly responsible for? Well, for one thing, my Mexican friends, once neighbors, can no longer afford to live in the houses next to me as the land has become gentrified. The village is no longer a small, adorable place it once was. Traffic alone has grown exponentially, and you know it is terrible. Water is becoming scarce. Clean water is non-existent in many villages. The hills have been eroded by construction. Infrastructure is non-existent, and so on and so on. A lot of this has resulted in inequities that deny opportunities to the Mexican people in this community. As we can lay a lot of the blame on what we term climate justice, the intersection of climate change and social justice. So, to give you an example of this, here is a video in Spanish with English subtitles with a Mexican point of view.
Hola, mi nombre es María Reyes, tengo 19 años, soy una activista climática mexicana. Tenía 6 años cuando experimenté por primera vez la escasez del agua. Entonces vivíamos con mi abuela a la periferia sur de la ciudad de Puebla. Un día te despiertas por la mañana, vas a la cocina, intentas abrir el grifo, pero no hay agua. Los impactos de la crisis climática en México han sido muchos, pero sobresale la crisis del agua que atraviesa toda la República. Desde el año pasado las sequías han retrasado las cosechas y por lo mismo algunos campesinos ya no siembran de temporada. Pero también algo que hemos tenido este año es que porque hay un ciclón en la costa, esta región de México y también más al sur se han visto afectadas por un aumento atípico en las precipitaciones. Esto ha causado que algunos sembradíos se inunden y también se pierda la cosecha. En medio de un campo de milpa se generó un gran hoyo al que llamamos socavón y la comunidad tiene miedo porque existe el riesgo de que se sigan generando más. El agua no es y no puede ser un asunto aparte del resto de elementos del ecosistema. Para preservar el agua tenemos que preservar los bosques. Sin embargo, nuestros bosques se ven amenazados por los incendios forestales, que se vuelven más comunes por las sequías y por el aumento de las temperaturas en la atmósfera. El 70% del territorio mexicano está cerca del día cero. Nos quedamos sin agua porque ya no hay. Decidí que tenía que hacer todo lo que estuviera en mis manos para luchar contra esto. Entonces decidí convertirme en activista de tiempo completo. Me uní al movimiento hace 2 años, durante las huelgas climáticas de septiembre de 2019. La crisis climática acrecenta todas las desigualdades sociales. En México protestamos por un cambio sistémico, por acabar con el problema de raíz. Un problema sistémico requiere medidas sistémicas. Tenemos que actuar ahora.
So, what can we do in our community? How can we address this issue? Why, I'm glad you asked. We are holding a climate justice revival where we can hopefully figure out what we can do. Now, in coming together as a community, there is something I really, really believe in, and that is the collective wisdom of community. All of us together can share in our wisdom and come to agreement on how to handle climate justice in this lakeside area. So come and be part of this on Sunday, October 13th, where we will start not at 1 p.m. instead of noon. Remember, 1 p.m., not at noon. Now, some cautions and concerns on this project. First, and with great humility, I recognize that even though I know some of the problems, for example, one thing really dear to my heart, the horrible kidney disease outbreak in the villages east of us due to bad water, I do not know all the problems as intimately as those who live in the villages. I do not know all of the problems intimately as those who live in the villages. Remember that. We must develop a way to ask them what their needs are. Now, there's a classic example of this. It's a story that Susie Lindemann tells when her Rotary Club went out to a village and asked, "What do you need?" The answer for the Rotarian was out of left field and very, very unexpected. They said, "We all need mattresses." So the Rotarians got them mattresses. By asking the questions of the people, they were able to assist the villagers in a very real and meaningful way. Another caution. Remember the starfish story. We cannot save the world. We cannot save Mexico. We cannot save every village. But we can do our little bit by helping some. So remember October 13th, our climate justice revival, and come with hope, joy, and love in your hearts to participate in this adventure. I leave you with this closing thought in the words of Jane Goodall. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. Now, sit down, relax, put yourself in a wonderful, comfortable position, breathe, and with loving kindness to yourself, reflect on these words from Thich Nhat Hanh. Try to help in such a way that you can be calm and at peace and not lose yourself in the act of service.
Our familiar closing hymn is number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth. This hymn remembers that we're connected to something greater than ourselves, the source of all. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing this prayerful hymn.
We are strengthened in coming together, joining with others, blending our efforts as people of faith. Together, we are more than we could ever be alone. One congregation is a miracle, a marvel. As an interfaith gathering, we can help create a wonderland, a world blanketed with love and justice, understanding, and hope. In closing, love our earth. Take action to consume less, use less energy, respect water. We are a cooperative, collaborative, and creative community. May we see all as it is. May it all be as we see it. May we be the ones to make it as it should be. For if not us, who? If not now, when? And remember to please join us as we continue this topic of climate justice on October 13th from 1 to 4.
Let us extinguish our chalice with these words which we read together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts and share with all the world. Thank you, Bob, for those good words for us and the invitation for our next event on this issue on October 13, right? So, friends, our worship is over and our service begins. Go in peace and with a purpose of caring for our beautiful home and for all her inhabitants. Adios.